All right, you guys. This is part two of where they tried to screw me over last night. YouTube cut me off. I mean, boom, just shut me off. I didn't even realize they shut me off until I went back to review the video because you guys were texting me telling me that it was buffering and buffering and one person told me that they rebooted their computer and came back on and my channel would not come up. They couldn't get it to work. So anyway, this is this is part two. So if you didn't see part one, go watch part one. It won't say part one. It'll have the same exact title as this, except this one will say part two. So I don't even really know where I stopped last night, but so I'm gonna start over, and hopefully there aren't any problems because I don't think YouTube kind of has a problem with what I'm talking about. So, and here I am trying to be careful and not break any of their stupid rules, whatever those are, and um and just bring y'all the facts as I know it to be. So I started out last night. I was talking to you all about the state of the economy, right? And I was saying that I saw some videos of younger people, college and career age, young people. Can you believe that? Yeah, we're those people now where we're calling everybody else young people. But anyway, um, the college and career age. I was talking about how I saw a video of this young lady. She was talking about how she went to school for. She has a degree in designer fashion, which I didn't even know was a thing, but it's a thing apparently. And she cannot find a job. I think now there were two people that I listened to what they had to say. Well, more than two, but these particular ones really struck me. I don't remember if she was the one that said she couldn't find a job that was paying over $15 an hour. And here she is, thousands upon thousands of dollars in debt because she was really encouraged to go and get this degree in fashion designing. But she can't find a job. And here she's living in Manhattan and she cannot find work. Then there was this other couple, a lady. She's married. She has two children. Um, and she might have been the one that said $17 an hour. But anyway, whatever her profession is, she's a degreed person. I can't remember what she said her profession was, but um, she has not been able to find work. I think she said $17 an hour, but she's got two children that would need to go to preschool, and what she would be making in a month would not even cover their daycare. So, people are in, now. So I'm going to say something. If you guys watched our other channel, which I have not posted to in a long time now, the Christopat's Adventure and Travel channel. In that channel, I talked a lot about prepping and I showed you guys how to do different stuff. And I'm going to tell you, if it wasn't for the fact that I felt like I heard God tell me many years ago, not many, but at least 10 years ago, to prepare for hard times, nothing was really going on then at that point, I don't think. But you know what? I think it was longer ago than that. It was probably around 2014, something like that. Yeah. Anyway, I just started teaching myself how to do things because I don't know, it just felt like the handwriting was on the wall. Now, one of the challenges that I have is that I may be able to see something coming. Sometimes I know what it is. Sometimes it's just a, a feeling of like a warning, and I need to position myself to weather the storm that's coming. Other times I see it very clearly. You know what the challenge is? Getting other people to believe you when you tell them that you see something. And so you just try to lead people in a direction where they'll be best protected from number one, what's coming, and number two, themselves. And that can be very challenging because if you're the only one that's seeing it at the time, then people will accuse you of being negative, or you're a doomed person and all this kind of stuff. Let me tell y'all something. Me and my household, we're blessed. I'm sitting over here watching the world burn down, and it's not affecting us. You know why? Because when God told me to do a thing about it, to prepare for what I could not even see coming, I did that. And because I did that, I'm not experiencing the fallout that a lot of people are experiencing right now. Now, here's the thing. There's something to be said about people who did not have the wherewithal to prepare for hard times. They were already living paycheck to paycheck, or they were already living hand to mouth, as the old folks used to say. Old folks, how about that? But anyway, and so, there's something to be said about that. If you can't, you can't. But what I'm thinking about are the people who could have done something about it, but were wasteful. They were wasteful with their resources. They were wasteful with their time. They were wasteful with their money, and they did nothing about it. And now the economy has crashed in on them, and people are losing their homes, or they can't even afford to rent a place because the cost of rent or the cost of buying a home is so astronomical. Till, as it is right now, the generations coming behind me can't afford a home. They can't. They just can't. Not with what they're getting paid, and the fact that they might have small children or whatever. They are really in dire straits. It is a thing. Now, I had been watching, as some of you know, I try to look at what's going on in other countries to try to get a pulse of what's happening in the world, because, like I have been saying for such a long period of time, there is a movement afoot to just put us all in one big pot, with the exception of the ones who brought the pot to the party in the first place. I ain't talking about weed, y'all. Okay, I'm talking about pot, or a ball of wax, whatever you want to call it. They want to put us all in one big thing so that they can control everything. Now, so it's still in talking about the economy. I saw an article. I may have mentioned this in the first part of this video, not this video, the other video. I may have mentioned it. I saw an article where the IRS is, on the 30th of this month, they are doing away with paper checks. If you file taxes, they want you to go ahead and file your taxes as you normally would. But starting on the 30th of the month, they're doing away with paper checks. Now, yeah, that's a double-edged sword. And I'll tell you why I think that. And that's because if they do away with the paper checks, that means they have to directly deposit it into your account. Now, some people are doing that already anyway. But why do they want to do that? Okay, I can see, like I said before, I can see partially why they would want to do that. It costs a lot of money to print these checks. It costs a lot of money to manage whoever has to manage who's getting the money and all that kind of stuff, and then to mail it, right? And the post office sucks right now. So it costs a lot of money. So it would save the taxpayers a lot of money, not having to mail that out, have it printed up and all that, because the government ain't got no money unless they take it from you or they print it, right? So it would save the taxpayers some money. But at the same time, they have a trail. They have an electronic trail as to where your money went and possibly what you did with it. Now, this is why they want a cashless society. This is why they don't want you to have cash, because in times past, right, if they deposited your refund check into your account, you can take that cash out and do whatever you want to do with it, and they can't track it. They can't trace it. That's why they don't like cash. They want to be able to control your purse strings and my purse strings. So part of the title of this video was talking about moving forward in wisdom, right? You have to be wise about how you're moving right now with the things that are going on in the world. Now, I'm not the wisest person in the world, but I ain't the dumbest either, okay? I got sense enough to know, number one, my mother used to say, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Well, I never knew what that meant. until I got old enough to have my own basket and my own eggs. And now I know what she means. You know, if you have everything in one place and something happens to that place, yeah, you just lost everything, right? So don't do that. And I told y'all that before. Don't have all your assets in one place. The other thing is, and I may have mentioned it, so some of this stuff, you're going to hear it when you listen to the first video. It's just that right now, I don't know what I said and what I didn't say, or what got recorded and what didn't. So, one of the things is if you have a lot of assets, right? You, like I said, you don't want to keep it all in one place. Now, if you had, let's say you bought some silver, let's see, I don't know, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, when it might have been, I don't know, $12 an ounce or whatever. I have no idea what it was then. And now it's $32 an ounce. You made out pretty good, provided you didn't spend it, cash it in or whatever. If you bought gold then when it was $1,200 an ounce, or $1,000 an ounce, and now it's $3,200 an ounce, you made out pretty good, right? So that's what I mean, right? If you're gonna hold on to your assets, you need to put stuff where it's going to retain its value. You're not going to lose your money or whatever, and don't keep it all in one place. So now, you guys that have signed on, can you go ahead and let me know where you're signaling from in the chat? I like to acknowledge people when they come on the channel, because you could be somewhere else doing something else, and I appreciate you being here. And thank you for the thumbs up, whoever did that. So considering, hi Bob, Tampa, Florida. So considering everything that's going on in the world right now, right? Listen, you guys, I'm not trying to scare you. Ain't nobody paying me to do this. YouTube doesn't pay me a dime. Okay, let me just tell you, they don't pay me nothing. I'm just blowing the trumpet, trying to let everybody know, listen, all right, they're screwing around. Now, we keep hearing that the economy is doing great, it's doing so much better, blah, blah, blah. And maybe in some instances it is, but there was so much damage done in the past, especially in the past 4 years, with unwanted guests by the millions that came into our country that were not wanted basically by the citizens of this nation, because they are a drain and a draw on this nation. So we had all that going on, all the problems that came with that, the diseases, the entitlement, all this stuff, all the taxpayers' dollars going to finance somebody that you don't even know, okay, that you did not invite, that you did not say, hey, party over here. You had nothing to do with it. And yet your tax dollars went to funding people who were staying in and trashing luxury hotels, okay, being picky about the food and all this. Can you imagine that? Let's just stop for a minute, because I have a hard time getting my head around somebody coming to my house. I just want you to think about this. Somebody comes to your house uninvited. Somebody else paid for their plane ticket, probably you just didn't know it. They come to your house. They say they're going to live with you. They ain't ask you, okay? They're telling you they're going to live with you. They're going to kick you out of your room, and they're taking over your bedroom and your kitchen, your living room, your shower, your everything. They complain about the water. They complain about the food. They tear up your furniture in your house, and then they tell you they have a right to be there. And guess what? You don't even know the person's name, okay? You don't know who they are. You don't know where they come from. And they're burning down buildings and stealing, okay? Yeah. Welcome. I mean, is that what we're supposed to say? So here's the thing. We keep hearing how great the economy is doing. And like I said, it might be doing better than it was before. But let me tell you something. We are by no means out of the woods, folks. We are not. Okay. So let me tell you what's happening in China real quick. We're at war with China. It's a different kind of a war. We're in an economic headlock with the country who gives us most of our medication. Now, first of all, if I had somebody or if I knew somebody that was dead set against my well-being, I just doubt I'd be taking any drugs from them. Okay, I'm just saying what is wrong with that? I think our government has lost its common sense. All right, there is no way we should be taking any medication from China or India, who can't seem to make up its mind what side of the issues they want to be on. So there's that. China and India is where we get the majority of our medication from. And both of these countries have proven to be somewhat hostile toward us. So that makes no sense to me that our citizens would be put in a position to be poisoned. Okay, that makes no sense to me. Second of all, uh, that's just them, right? Now, there's so much going on. Let me just try to stick with what I said I was going to talk about because this stuff will make you. I had one of my subscribers um, I was talking to earlier today. She was cracking. It wasn't funny what she was telling me, but when I got off the phone, I was just kind of shaking my head. She was telling me about these children that she have and how all of them seem like they have lost their minds. I'm like, I know what you mean, and it's just a shame. So she was looking at a video that I did when I was trying to tell you guys, make sure you have your paperwork and stuff in order because somebody's got to deal with the fallout of your negligence if something happens to you and you become incapacitated or you pass away. Like, ain't nobody getting out of this life alive. Okay, only two did that. All right, only two. Um, and so, what you don't want to leave is a big old mess for your family or your friends. They have to try to clean up because you did not take the time to handle your business. Okay. It does not have to be excruciatingly expensive, but you do have to do your homework and find out what best suits you. Okay. And I had mentioned this to you guys because our friend had a stroke and I'm her caretaker now, but she had done her paperwork back in 2018. And I remember agreeing to it, but nothing had happened. So, you just go on. You sign the stuff and you go on. Well, then it happened. So here we are. And so, but in doing that and going through that experience, my husband and I saw where we had gaps um, in our paperwork that was not, some things were not done. And other things, because my husband used to be a Canadian national, when we got married 17 years ago, everything that we did was under Canadian law. We had wills in place. We had all this stuff in place, but it was under Canadian law. We didn't think no more about it because hey, you got your will done, your will is done, right? You didn't think no more about it until this happened with our friend. It was like, wait a minute, our paperwork is out of date. We don't have that property anymore. We don't have those vehicles anymore. We don't have the business up there anymore. Everything had changed, and we had not changed it here. So I had to go back and look through everything and say, okay, something's missing. We got to do this, we got to do that, we have to do this, we have to do that. That's part of prepping. Okay, don't leave a mess for your family. Do the very best you can to not leave them in a place where they have to try to guess what you would have wanted or guess what you might be trying to say because listen, strokes can do strange things to people. I had a lady I was talking to yesterday, and she was telling me that it was just her and her sister, as far as I know. They were the only two children, but their mother had a stroke several years ago. She said it was the most pitiful thing. She lost her ability to speak, like, completely. She could not speak. She lost her ability to walk. She was, it's weird because it's almost like she could understand what they were saying, I guess, by the blinking of the eye, blink twice for yes and once for no or whatever, but she could not speak. She could not move. She couldn't do anything. And she stayed that way for 11 years. So let me tell you, if they hadn't had a conversation with her ahead of time, they had no way of knowing what her wishes were, and they had no way of getting it out of her because she was not able to speak. So I'm telling you guys, stuff happens. The way our food has been poisoned, our water has been poisoned, our medications have been poisoned. It's just, you have got to be as self sufficient as possible. You really do need to do that because I just came from a doctor's appointment. You're going to like this one. Okay. So I lean more toward the side of holistic medicine, right? I don't like taking stuff. Now, that's not a slam against the medical community. It's really a slam against the pharmaceutical companies because they know what they're doing. Um, they've known for a long time that certain things can trigger autism, shots, and things like that. That is too much stuff going together that ends up causing a child to be darn near a vegetable, and stuff like this. But guess what? They got medication for that. They have therapies for that. They don't mind screwing up your life as long as you stay on the train of taking their remedies, right? Whatever it is they say is a cure or a treating of the symptom of something that they caused in the first place. Don't even get me started on that. Anyway, so um, so I'm looking at all this, and I just want to encourage everybody to please be as self sufficient as possible. You see the price of things. My husband and I stopped at the store not too long ago, and I hate shopping. I am not one to listen. I'm a strange woman. Okay. I don't like shopping. I hate shopping. I don't like shopping for clothes. I don't like shopping for food. I will do what I need to do, but yeah, that ain't my thing. I don't like shopping. So I told him I'd shop when he was dead. So he goes in the store. I'll stay in the car and he'll call me from inside the store and say, okay, they got this, they got that, they have this, they have that. Which one do you want? Whatever. And the price of food was just shocking to me. Now, why is that? Because I haven't really had to do any heavy shopping in a long time. You know why? Because when God said you need to prepare for hard times, that's what I did. That's what I did, right? So I'm not in the store, once or twice a month having to restock my freezer or having to restock my refrigerator. We have to get very little. We really do. And I appreciate, I just thank God that we are in a blessed position that we're in. But again, not everyone is in that position. And so you have people that are out of work that cannot find work, and yet we're hearing that the economy is doing great. Well, I'm sure it's doing great for somebody. It's doing great for people that had invested in the stock market, some time ago, and now they're seeing their gains come in, or people that invested in precious metals some time ago, and now they're seeing their gains come in because the value of the metals have gone up considerably, maybe since they first bought it and all that. But the question is, where are you right now? How are you faring right now? Right? What are your needs right now? And have you planned like we've been talking about on this channel forevermore, right? Have you planned for harder times, right? Because the world has gone nuts. When you start eliminating people because you don't like their opinion, I'm telling you, the world is being run by psychopaths. I told y'all this before. Psychopaths. It's just nuts. When there is no respect of life. I mean, it doesn't even matter what age. It doesn't even matter what age you are. There is such a disregard for human life that it is unreal. I mean, when they try to eliminate your unborn neighbor in utero, okay, they don't even care. Well, that didn't work. We'll shoot them up full of whatever's mercury and all this stuff that's going to mess with their head, and then they need medication or they need to be institutionalized or whatever. Well, that didn't get them. Well, we'll get them in school. We'll talk to them about all this stuff, um, and put these certain types of books in the library and have these stuff taught in the classroom that has nothing to do with reading or writing or mathematics or the sciences. It has nothing to do with any of that. It's all cultural. It's all designed to warp the minds of the young people so that they have useful idiots that they can use later on to do their bidding, right? Do you think these people that are out here burning down the buildings and whose streets are streets and all this kind of stuff, do you listen? First of all, some of them are being paid, all right, to do this. They are paid agitators. And what kind of sense does it make if you want a better world that you're burning down the one that you're in? You still have to live here, you idiot. So why are you doing that? Right? And then you have those who think it's okay to do that. Well, of course they think it's okay because it wasn't their house that was burned down. It wasn't their business that was burned down. Right? So yeah, they think it's great. They think it's okay until it happens to them. And then all of a sudden they get an epiphany and it's not such a good idea anymore while it's happening to them, right? So we're living in some very, very interesting times. Um, People have lost their collective minds. It's just, I don't even know what to say anymore. It's like, wow, you can't even get your head around the level of evil that is happening in our world right now and the level of suffering. Now, the scripture says the poor you'll have with you always. There's always going to be someone who has less than you. Even if it's, listen, there are homeless people who have less than other homeless people, right? So the poor you will have with you always. There's always going to be someone who has less than what you have. But that's not the point. The point is to try to better your position and be in a position where you can help someone that is trying or has tried, and it's just the system is just swallowing them up. They just cannot make it. You cannot squeeze blood from a turnip, right? So this is where good neighbors or decent family members or whatever come in to where you can form an alliance with that can help you get through these hard times, because the powers that be care nothing about you going through a hard time. They created this. They did this to you. Okay. They did this to you and they did it on purpose. And so now we're trying to dig our way out of this hole with the administration is there now. And like I said in my previous video with the same title here, there has been so much damage done to our country that I do not think it can get turned around in one administration. And so what happens after this administration is termed out? You better pray to God. I'm telling you that the next administration has a vision for this nation, has a vision for the citizens of this nation that's for the benefit, the true benefit of the citizens, that is a constitutional benefit. It's not something, where they throw you a crumb while they take the whole cow. You know what I mean? They throw you a leg while they take the entire cow. That's not looking out for your citizens, okay? To me, that's borderline treason. But anyway, so moving forward in wisdom means you have to take a step back and assess your situation, your family situation, or if you're a single person, assess your situation. Okay, where am I at right now? Where am I financially? How far will this take me? 5 years ago, I had a meeting with some people and I told them then, I said, the next paycheck you get, you need to treat that paycheck like it is your last paycheck. That's what I told them. It doesn't mean it is, but you need to treat it like it is your very last paycheck and start managing your money more wisely, because some people have what they call it cognitive dissonance. They just want to act like everything's fine, nothing's changed, we're all good. these over the top, happy, unrealistic people who just ain't getting it. That everything is not well all the time, right? So, how are you going to move forward? How are you going to help shield yourself, your family, your loved ones from uh, the dramatic changes that are taking place right now in our world that you cannot control? I'm telling you, the psychopaths are running the world. You cannot control that. You can't. There's nothing you can do about the decisions that they make, except number one, make sure you have a valid, up to date, very passionate relationship with God. Okay, number one. That's priority. Number one. Number two, with all you're getting, get an understanding. Get the wisdom on how to move forward for your particular situation. Now, let's say, for example, if someone has assets that are running into the millions, right? I don't know anybody like that, but I'm just saying, if you had assets that run into the millions, right? But you also have debt that's running into the thousands, you might want to take some of them assets and get rid of the debt. If you have debt, get out of debt. The less debt you have, the better position you are in to weather the storm. Okay? Because what is happening now uh, is when you do something like go through, I don't know, this is just an example, Taco Bell or McDonald's or wherever, and you have to put that on your credit card, you're already in trouble. Listen, you do better to go buy yourself some ground beef and make your own tacos or whatever than to do that, to eat that processed junk that's poisoning you. Okay. So just think about how are you going to move forward if the bottom dropped out next week, let's just say, because right now they're fighting over whether they should shut the government down or not. That's a whole nother thing. Okay. um how would you move forward if you went to your job and they say, well, we're laying people off, like I talked to you guys at the beginning of this video. I talked about um these people that are degreed people that cannot find work. They can't find work. They got lots of debt because they went to school and they pursued their passion and they did all that. Some of them pursued absolutely worthless degrees. Okay, people have done that. They have been told, oh, go to school, get your degree on gender studies. Listen, the genders have been studied. Okay, you do not need a degree. Drop your pants. You'll get a clue. Okay. Just give yourself a little time. If you're in your 30s and 40s and you still don't know who you are, you got bigger problems than gender issues. Okay. I'm just telling you right now, you got bigger problems than that. So don't go to school and get these worthless degrees. And not only that, but the universities today that used to be halls of knowledge before, where you could talk about differences of opinion, you could have respectful debates, you could view your opposing view to another student or professor or whatever, you could challenge their way of thinking, and nobody tried to cut your life off because you didn't agree with them. Yeah, that ain't the way it is now. Okay. That's not the way it is now. So now, not only do they want to burn the school down, okay, or the university down, but they want to blockade it. They want to stop anybody else who has actually paid to be there. Want to stop them from going in if they don't embrace the same insanity that these kids are embracing today. It is mind boggling. I'm telling you, it's crazy. So I told y'all this was coming. I told you. I told you. If you're tuning in for the first time, hi, Bruce. Hi, Carol. If you're tuning in for the first time, I'm a little crazy too, okay? Because listen, YouTube cut me off last night because I was losing my mind. But anyhow, look, I've had this channel for a while. I don't draw any big crowds. That's not my deal. I'm not even trying to do that. What I'm trying to do is to push out as much information as I can that will help as many people as I can. because I'm telling you, you can be in a position where you are under the shadow of God's wing and you are not feeling the brunt of this stuff. Look at Psalms 91. If you have a Bible, look at Psalms 91. It talks about how you'll see all this stuff happening on your right and on your left, but it won't come near you. Why? Because of your relationship with God, right? He's the one that made everything, the good and the bad, okay? He made everything. And so when your relationship with him, this is just my experience, because I am not, let me tell you what I'm not saying. What I'm not saying is that if you have a relationship with God or Jesus Christ, that you're never going to have an issue. I ain't telling you that, okay? I'm not telling you that. It's the exact opposite. You will have more issues than you had before. But there is a place of rest and there is a place of safety that you will not attain to outside of that relationship. That's what I'm trying to tell you. And so, and I think it's because of the priorities that my husband and I have that we have not suffered the way other people did. Now, let me tell you something. When I first got married 17 years ago, I had the second year that we were married, I had this push in me to get my mortgage paid off, right? Nothing was happening that I can think of, right? I had a 30-year mortgage on the property that I'm at right now. And there was this pushing me, get the mortgage paid off, get the mortgage paid off. And I'm thinking, okay, well, the whole idea, see, when you're raised up in a system that is a debt-based system, that's all you know, unless you study economics and unless you begin to see things a different way and think to yourself, this ain't right. I'm never going to get out of debt like this. Yeah, they don't teach you that in school. But anyway, when you're raised in a debt-based system, then you think, all right, so get a mortgage and string it out as far as possible and keep your payments low and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, see, but there was a push in me to get the mortgage paid off. I didn't know why. It's like, okay. So what I started doing was every spare dime I had, I put it toward the principal. Okay. Because if you're just paying the mortgage, if you're just paying the minimum, you're paying the interest. You haven't even started on the principal. Okay. That's why it could take you 30 years or 15 years. Let me see, I think I was 12 years or something like that into, anyway, when I just started getting this thing to get it paid off, get it paid off. I didn't understand why. I did not study economics in school per se, but there was just this pushing me, get out of, I didn't have any more debt. My car was paid off. I had no debt. I had my monthly utilities, water, gas, whatever, right? But there was this thing in me that kept pushing me to get the mortgage paid off. I did. And let me tell you something. I got the mortgage paid off, got my mortgage paid off 13 years early. 13 years early. I got it completely paid off. Then we started working on my husband's property in Canada. And then we got that. We sold it and got rid of that mortgage, right? Took a huge bite trying to get the money across international line because of the exchange rate and all that. They rooked us. It was bad. But anyhow, we walked away with more than what he had originally paid for the property. But why am I saying that? What I'm saying is, when you are out of debt, you have more leverage. You have more that you can work with. There's more that you can put toward something that's going to retain its value, right? Now, I'm not trying to give you financial advice. I'm just telling you what we did, right? That has us in a position now where we literally have no bills. We don't. We have utilities, and that's what you make of it for the most. Well, it used to be. Now it's whatever they charge you. But we don't have any mortgages. The last 3 vehicles that we purchased, we just bought it. We did not have a car note. We just bought it. Why? because we freed up all that cash when we got rid of the mortgages and stuff. The cash was there, right? The money was there to be able to do what we needed to do. We have been able to help other people who didn't even tell us they were having a problem, but it was just a knowing. It was something that I believe God revealed to me, that this person was in financial trouble. They didn't tell me. And from looking at it from the outside, you wouldn't have known because they're very private and all that. And we just go and get some of our money and give it to them, and because we managed our money well, we have tried to be good stewards of what we feel God has blessed us with. I give where He tells me to give. I withhold if He tells me to withhold, right? That's what I do. That's how we do it. And we have been very, very blessed. My household is blessed because we follow what God tells us to do, whether it makes sense or not. So this is what I'm telling you. Way back then, when there was this big old push to get out of debt and all this kind of stuff, and the whole rest of the world and the system that we're born into tells us, credit is everything. Well, it can be, depending on how you're using it, right? It can also be your downfall. Anyway, so we freed up ourselves and we were able to help people, and we're still able to help people. Whether it's with food or finances or whatever, we're able to help people when God tells us to. And so, but why is that? We're in that position because we were preparing for something way back there. So what I'm trying to encourage you is, if you can do that now, let your focus be on getting out of debt. Do not use your credit card unless you absolutely have to, and you can pay it off at the end of the month. There's nothing wrong with credit if you use it properly, right? So one of the things that I did, here's the thing. I get these moments where it's like, you know what? Let me give you an example. So when I was in Canada, my husband had a company car. We had a company car. And the insurance was just brutal because they were treating it like a commercial vehicle, right? A business vehicle. We had the company car and we had our own private vehicle. I mean, and the insurance was ridiculous. So I'm thinking to myself, what designates this vehicle as being a company vehicle, right? Well, you're using it for company work. Okay. So if you were using your private vehicle for company work, right? How does that square off, right? So what I was trying to do was I was trying to find the most cost-effective way to continue to run the business, have the transportation that was needed, and not pay the ridiculous insurance fees that Canada wanted us to pay. So this is what I said. Your car is considered a commercial vehicle if you're using it every day for work, right? Well, I said, don't use it every day for work. Sell the company vehicle. Just sell it. Sell it. We can use our private. They're cutting me off again. Oh my gosh. Y'all hang in there. I'm almost finished. You can use your private vehicle for company business as long as you keep it under a certain amount of usage a month. Now that's how it was there. So I'm thinking, okay, so if you're using it every day for business, it's considered a commercial vehicle. But if you're using it twice a week, it's not. So let's just sell the company car, use our own private vehicle, and use it twice a week. And the rest of the time, connect with your customers online. You don't have to go to them. You can connect with them online. So that's what we did. And we took that money where we sold the vehicle and we did other stuff with it. So moving forward wisely, right? Reassess your situation, figure out what you can do, what you can't do, and you have to prioritize. because there's going to be all kinds of stuff that can come up that will seduce you into going this way, that way, buy this, buy that. Ignore the impulse racks when you go to Walmart or wherever you shop. It's there for a reason, okay? I used to be in retail, and those things are very strategically placed to make you say, oh, yeah, I need that. Oh, yeah, I need that while you're standing in line waiting to check out, right? Yeah, don't be impulsive. Sit down, prioritize your needs. I would say your biggest thing right now, if you have any debt, is to work on eliminating your debt. The less debt you have, the more assets you have. Okay, that's what you're going to need to move yourself forward in wisdom. Secondly, don't fall for every bleeding heart that tells you they need money. So do you. Okay. Now, I'm not telling you to be callous toward people who need help. What I'm saying is, even in that, you have to be wise. My husband said to me one time, I was looking at the state of the world. I was looking at what was happening to the people in China being under a communist regime, and some of these other countries where the government, and I ain't leaving ours out, but these other countries where they don't have freedom of speech, they don't have civil rights, they don't have any of that. The women are still walking, 20 paces behind the men because they're less than dogs. This kind of stuff that they want to turn our country into. I'm looking at stuff like that, and my heart was just sick for these people. And my husband told me, he says, even with all that we've been blessed with, if we gave up every single thing we have, it would not even scratch the surface of what is going on and how big the need is. And he's right. And so I said that to say that you can look at a situation that a person is in and really feel grieved over how you see life treating them, but you still have to keep your perspective, right? In other words, do what you can for a person, don't do what you can. Don't put yourself in a precarious situation to try to help someone else. Now, I know that might sound selfish, but think about this. When you're on an airplane and they're giving you that whole safety thing, the first thing they tell you is, if the oxygen mask drop down, put yours on first, right? Deal with you first and then help the person sitting next to you or your child or whoever is there that may need help as well. Why? Because you can't help somebody if you're in a ditch too. You've got to get your own life straightened out first as much as possible. It doesn't mean you don't help people along the way, but you don't put yourself back in a hole to help someone else. Now you're both in a hole. So who can you help? Nobody, really, right? All right. So move forward with wisdom. Um, Learn how to be as self-sufficient as you can possibly be, because we got a long road ahead of us, folks. A long road. I don't think people understand how close we were and still are to losing our sovereignty as a nation. I'm telling you, we were on the precipice looking down into the abyss, because there are people in our government that absolutely hate our country. They were sent here from other nations to infiltrate the highest levels of government, to overthrow us from the inside. Okay, because we had a superior military, and they knew they couldn't do it from the outside. But if they could just get elected, if they could just get into the White House, if they could just get into Congress, into the Senate, and just start screwing up the rules and dismantling the Constitution, then they knew they could take the country down like that. It might take a while. I mean, they've been marching toward this for the last 60 years, okay? They knew it would take a while, but they're playing the long game, and they're betting on those of us who love this nation to just throw up our hands and say, there's nothing else I can do. There are things you can do, all right? So go back and review what I've put in this video. This is part 2. Part 1 doesn't say part 1, but it's got the same exact title, where they cut me off yesterday. Oh, man. You guys, listen, get your life straight with Jesus. Okay, seriously, it don't hurt. All right, it's free. It's free to you. Wasn't free to him, but it's free to you. And love your neighbor as yourself. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. I mean, we most of us grew up with that principle, but growing up with that knowledge and living that out as a lifestyle are two completely different things, right? Love your enemies. Bless those that curse you. Pray for those that despitefully use you and persecute you. And let me tell you something, I've had to practice that a lot in my short time on earth, and people are still trying me in that respect. Lord, thank you, Jesus. Anyway, thank you guys for hanging out. And thank you, you guys that are on here for the first time. I appreciate you stopping by. I hope you will subscribe to the channel, and I do hope that you will give this video a thumbs up, and please share it. If you think that what I said today had any validity at all, please share this channel with other people. Because like I said, my channel and other channels like mine, YouTube has suppressed us so bad that we depend on you guys to share the channel, to get it out to as many people as you think would appreciate hearing something like this. Maybe somebody was thinking, I don't know what to do now. You know, my back's up against a wall, and maybe it never even occurred to them to try to get out of debt or whatever. Keep every single receipt, everything that you spend in a month. Look at it at the end of the month, and you might very well find out that you've been hemorrhaging money on things that you didn't even really need. You're just used to having it, but you didn't really need it. And you may need to give that stuff up until you can dig yourself out of a financial hole. Anyway, I hope that what I said blessed you and helped you. And just, be careful out there. Be nice to one another. Love your neighbor as yourself. And thank you so much for coming back on and for being patient with the video and all that. I don't know about the commercials, you guys. I don't know what's going on. But anyhow, I thank you so much for sharing your time with me. I'm usually on in the evening when I do come on, and I try to send out a message to let you know. My email address is in the description box under this video. If you want to email me, or you want to talk to me, that's fine. Leave me your phone number in a private message, and we can do that. And, maybe you want to pick my brain about something. I may know, I may not know. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, but I'll talk to you guys the next time I come on, and I'll try to give you more of a notice. I was just mad that they cut me off last night, and I was determined I wasn't going to let them do that to me. So I was going to finish saying what I had to say, and I think I'm done. All right, you guys, be blessed, and I'll see you the next time I come on. Take care.